Hello, welcome to Verbling, www.verbling.com. My name is Teacher Oakley, and for the next hour we're going to be practicing IELTs speaking. This week at this time, we've been practicing actual recent IELTs speaking tests. As a reference, if you simply Google recent IELTS topics, you're going to find many blog sites wherein, pardon me, wherein students will share their experience, the questions that they had in their IELTS test. Now, this is valuable because IELTS topics, there are literally hundreds of IELTS topics, and using the study method to look at every topic and think about what you want to say is just a little bit crazy, because there are hundreds and they always rephrase, retune, reword the questions constantly, so it's very difficult to practice in that way. However, so that you can maybe have a chance to learn some vocabulary about topics, a good idea to study for IELTS is to look at recent topics, because although they have a library of hundreds of topics, IELTS will take a certain number, I don't know how many, but they'll take a small portion of those topics and add some new ones. And so there's always new ones. That's the other problem with studying topics. And they will unroll or this series of questions, this series of tests for about 3 months or so, and then they do another one. So by studying recent topics, you have a fairly good chance of finding topics that you, in fact, will have on your IELTS exam. So that was a long introduction, but that's the long and short of it. That's what we're doing. We're looking at recent IELTS tests to look at topics that are circulating, at least recently. No guarantees, of course, but chances are good. Hello, Igor. How are you?
Hello, teacher. I'm doing pretty good. How are you?
Good. I'm okay. Also, for any viewers out there in Verbling, not only is this an excellent chance to practice for IELTS or TOEFL or TOEIC or CAA or whatever, also this is frankly a good chance to just practice speaking. I'm going to be asking questions and I'm going to give you feedback. I'm going to be quite critical because IELTS is quite critical. And I'm also going to phrase my feedback in terms of, from the perspective of how IELTS scores and what is important in an IELTS test. Okay. Anywho, Igor, are you ready to get started? Okay. To start out with, a typical IELTS, all IELTS speaking tests have 3 parts. You sit down with an actual interviewer. Of course, you're going to go into a room where the interviewer is. He's going to stand up and shake your hand. He's going to ask you what your name is, introduce himself, ask you for your identification, probably your IELTS number. So, yeah, make sure you are who you say you are. And then he'll start a recording device and you start the exam. Igor, have you ever taken an IELTS exam?
No, I haven't.
Do you have any plans to do so, or not really?
No, not really. Maybe some other day, sometime in the future, but not now. I don't think I'm ready for it.
No direct plans. Oh, actually, I think you do quite well, actually. Okay. Well, just really, honestly. Let me welcome a couple other students to the class. Hello, Ismail.
Hello, Oakley.
Hi. Pretty good. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well, thank you, Oakley.
Great. Glad to hear it. And hello, Alexandra. Hi there.
Hello, hello.
Hello, hello. Okay, welcome to the class.
Thank you.
All right, let's get started practicing an IELTS speaking test. This was a recent, well, actually this one wasn't quite so recent, but I think I put the wrong date on the document. Okay, a fairly recent test that was held in India. Okay, let's get started. One thing, in the part one questions, part one is conducted like, basically like a conversation. The interviewer is going to ask you questions about topics which we all know about, the food we eat, music we listen to, things like that. The only thing that we know regarding topics in IELTS, for sure, you're going to have either the question about work or study, or a question about describing where you live, or quite possibly both, a little of both. These are the only topics that we know and can predict. The rest, who knows? So a typical interview would, after your name and introductions and your ID, might start like this. Hello, Igor. Do you work or do you study?
I study English.
Okay. And what do you like about studying English?
Well, I like how rich this language is, and I like that I like to be able to communicate in English, to express my opinions, my words in English, and it just makes me feel great.
Okay. All right, typical start. Okay. Very good. Okay. All right. I think I missed a word, maybe. I don't know. I think you said I like rich the language is.
I like how rich the language is.
Okay, the first time maybe, I don't know, maybe there was a connection issue. I didn't hear how, but okay, that's right. It has to be how rich the language is. Okay. And pronunciation was a little strange on share my views in particular.
I don't know. I don't believe I said this word.
You didn't? What did you say then?
To express my opinions and my thoughts. I think I said that.
Wow, I heard a completely different.
Well, maybe I just don't remember, you know.
Yeah, okay. Maybe I'm in an alternate universe.
I don't really keep track of what I'm saying. I'm just saying what is on my mind.
Okay. Right. No. That's what you're supposed to do. And actually, the point of IELTS is to talk as naturally and as much like a native speaker as possible. Really.
Well,
that includes use. Well, I mean, that's the ideal. I mean, but that includes using slang, using interjections like, you know, sounds that we use. That includes everything that is part of natural English. Gestures, if you like to gesture when you talk, you should definitely do that in your IELTS test. It's all about comfortable speech. But, okay, so saying whatever comes into your head, as you just said, good. That means you're thinking in English, and if you could think in English, you're going to do well on the IELTS test, really, because you're going to be speaking naturally. Okay. All right, that would be a typical beginning. Very normal. Ismail, I'd like to move on to another recent topic in IELTS, which seen actually in a number of recent tests. Ismail, how do you celebrate your birthday?
Actually, I don't like to celebrate my birthday, but my wife prepare a cake sometimes for my birthday, and I celebrate with my family at home my birthday. We eat and drink at home and talk with each other, with my family members at home, actually.
Actually, okay, terrific. Okay, all right, very good response, very good idea. Well, this is a very direct question about personal experience, so kind of easy to do, but always a good idea to talk about personal experience. This question sort of demands it anyway, but okay, the more detail you can add, the better you will do on an IELTS test. Just general, basic rule of thumb, the more you say, the better you're going to do on the test. Now, of course, not if you're pausing or you're just repeating the same thing over and over. That's going to be counterproductive. But just totally in general, the more detail you can add, the more you can say, the better.
Isn't it going to bore
Sorry?
the testers? Isn't it going to bore the testers?
Who cares? You know what? They are so uninterested in what you were actually saying. If you ask them, what did I just talk about, 2 seconds after you finish, they're not going to remember. Okay. Seriously, I have
to evaluate my performance if they don't even listen to it.
They don't listen to what you're saying. They listen to how you're saying it. Your verb tense, your grammatical structure, the vocabulary and meaning and context. The pacing, the pronunciation, the intonation, the syllable stress, the use of connectives to connect ideas, the organization of your speech into topic sentence, supporting sentences and conclusions, the natural flow and cohesiveness of your speech. Does it make sense? Do you actually say why after you give an opinion? There's a lot for them to listen to. What's that?
How important the pronunciation is for them?
Okay, 25%. I can answer that quite directly. 25% of your score is fluency and cohesion. This includes really 2 different things. How fluent your delivery is, speaking, your pacing, joining words and speaking in phrases, as well as cohesiveness. This has to do with saying, like, in my opinion, first of all, additionally, for example, such as, on the other hand, okay, you're using phrases like this to connect all your ideas, and you're using a lot of different ones, not the same ones. That's 25% of your score. 25% of your score is lexical resource, vocabulary.
Yes.
What they love.
25% of my
What's
score.
That?
So I'm going to lose 25% of my score.
No, not at all. Vocabulary includes using different word forms like politics, politicians, political, as well as what they really love in IELTS is knowing collocations, what words go together, all right, what words naturally work together in phrases. And probably most important, what you should think about as you're taking the test as far as vocabulary is use of topic-related vocabulary. So here we are, we're talking about birthdays. Ismail mentioned cake. He mentioned together with a family, celebration, all right? All of these words are topic-related. Anything, balloons, candles, blowing out the candles, singing happy birthday, all the vocabulary and phrases that you can use related to the topic. That's what IELTS wants to hear.
If I create an hypothetical situation, is it okay or ugly? It is unsincerely, but...
Yes, absolutely. You can lie your butt off. Sure you can. That's perfectly, again, I reiterate, they are not listening to what you say. They could care less what your opinion is. They don't care if you want to kill everyone in the world. If that's your opinion, who cares? They're not even listening. They don't care. They're listening to the nuts and bolts of your speaking. As far as your opinion, if your ideas are crazy or stupid, they don't care. If you're lying and telling them about experiences you never had, they don't care. No one's going to fact check you. You know, no one's going to send a private investigator to interview your family. Right. Anyway, yes, you can lie, and there are definitely times when you probably want to. If it's the generally, if whatever's easier to talk about. All right. If you have a favorite movie you've watched 100 times, and there's a scene in the movie you want to describe it as if it happened to you, but you know that scene very, very well, like the back of your hand, so to speak, then use it. For sure. Absolutely, I would recommend it. It's easier to talk about things you know, however. So, in general, for some people, really, Ismail, some people are better liars than others. Some people are horrible liars, honestly. They just can't do it.
Is there time limit, Oakley, or?
No. And going way back to Igor's first question, which was, won't that bore the interviewer? No, it won't, because he'll stop you. Once he has enough, he's heard the verb tense he's looking for. They ask questions, they don't care what your answer is. When I say, how do you celebrate your birthday, I'm asking that in present tense. So I want to hear your answer in present tense. And I'm listening for verb conjugations. Okay, Ismail, you said, my wife prepare a cake. Really, it should be my wife prepares a cake. You said we ate and drank. Really, because the question is posed in present tense, and this is a regular thing. This is kind of a trick question. Your birthday happens almost every year.
What if you like celebrate it differently every year?
Yeah. Well, yeah. Okay. Well, then you can use past tense. You don't have to, but the general idea, they ask the question in present tense to see if you understand that even though something happens once a year, it's a regular activity and still demands present tense structure. That's really what they're asking you. Do you understand that? They don't really care what you do on your birthday. So that's what I'm listening for. So that's why I heard that he used past tense. He should have used we eat and drink. We eat cake and drink, have drinks and talk. Because it is a regular activity should be present tense. Okay, so they ask future questions because they want to hear modals or they want to hear future tense. They'll ask questions specifically to hear present perfect. Really, that's what they're doing. And, okay, going back to scoring. All right, 25% fluency and cohesion, 25% vocabulary, 25% grammar, sentence structure, what I was just talking about. Listening for verb tenses, also listening for a mix of simple, compound, complex, and compound complex sentences, which, by the way, as long as you're using subordinators, like actually, I noticed that Ismail used actually. That's good. That's a bonus check for him. As long as you're using subordinators, my first reason is that I think, okay, relative clause, subordinators, it forces you to use compound and complex sentences, as long as you're using transition words.
Can an average English speaker pass this test with ease?
Here's the deal. There is no passing or failing. All right. The people take the test because they want to go to university or they want to get a work visa in Australia, for example. If you want to get a work visa in Australia, you need 5.5. Okay. If you want to go to a state university in the United States, you need 6.5. If you want to go to MIT or Harvard, you need 7.5. Depends what your goal is. So thinking about passing or failing, it's all about meeting the goal that you have in order to accomplish your...
Okay, ask, for example, if a native English speaker took this test, could they pass this with ease, with any score they wanted?
It's funny that you ask me that, Igor. I can answer you absolutely. A couple years ago, I was working at a English second language academy, and they requested us, a bunch of us, the staff, the teachers, to take the IELTS test. So we did. There was, I believe, 16 of us altogether. 8 of us were native speakers, Canadian, a couple Brits, and a bunch of Americans. 8 of us were Filipinos, because I live in the Philippines. And we all took the test. We all took the test the first time. Believe me, the scores were just pretty much the same as it would be for you. I think I got a 7.5 overall. Out of a possible 9 is perfect, and then 8.58, 7.57, 6.5. And I had one of the best scores. I tied. Three of us got 7.5. A lot of us got 7. Some more of us got 6.5, and some of the Filipinos got 6. There's a reason for that. Most people get 6 is the average score, and like 50% of all test takers get 6. As you go around the edges of the bell curve, almost no one gets a 3, almost no one gets a 9. I mean, it's like 0.05% or 0.02% or something. So the great bulk of people end up between 4.5 and between 4 and 8. I mean, that's like 98% of all people get between 4 and 8. So the first time we took the test, I got a 7.5. We then were enrolled in an intensive IELTS training course, 64 hours, not including homework, just class time, working with an actual IELTS interviewer, somebody who actually gave these tests. And he explained to us how to take the tests, the whole test, reading, writing, everything, and as well how to do well in the test, the strategies, as well as how to teach the test and how the test is scored. So after this intensive course, we all took the IELTS test again. Everybody did much better. It's by knowing strategy. So in reality, although even a native speaker can do well, reasonably well, just taking the test, the test is not completely just about speaking English. You have to know the strategy. You have to know what IELTS is looking for. What specifically, how are they scoring, and what do they need to hear?
Nothing's ever easy, isn't it?
Nothing's ever easy, right? But I'm happy to report, after I took the course and I knew the strategy, you know, I did extremely well. And most everybody did much better.
Congratulations.
Well, thank you. But yeah, a lot of hard work. And I'm a native speaker, okay? And I had to spend 64 hours of classroom time. So if you're a second language speaker and you're taking IELTS or TOEFL, you really need to think about a serious investment in time.
Like about 3 years, I think.
Well, I don't know about that, but yeah, okay, what they told us, I don't know if I believe this or not, but basically for each discipline, speaking, reading, speaking, reading, writing, listening, they recommended that for basically each half band that you want to improve your score, you need 50 hours of classroom time for each discipline. So that's a lot of time. That's a lot of time. That's a big, and that doesn't, we're not even talking about self-study and homework. We're talking about classroom time. Anyway, yeah, okay. back to our practice quiz. Oh, I lost a couple people. I guess I'm boring you guys. All right, our subject was birthday. Okay. Igor, I'm going to continue. How are birthday parties celebrated in your country?
Well, they're celebrated just like in any other country. You just do some stuff. You just do some funny stuff. You always invite a lot of friends. You do some activities like going to billiard, but it really depends on what you like. Just really you're about to what you like to do. Just do what you like and have a lot of time. Some blow up some cakes and pretty much anything. Pretty much everything.
Okay. All right. Now here's the thing. You're trying to speak very generally. You do some stuff. Okay, you do some. Then you repeat it. You do some funny stuff. Should be fun stuff. All right. There's a big difference between fun and funny. Funny,
Yeah,
ha ha ha.
But it's more about funny stuff, not fun stuff.
Yeah, okay, all right. All right. But here again, in IELTS they would say, "Oh, that's funny stuff. That's not the normal collocation. you do fun stuff." Okay. Anyway, you're trying to speak generally. Stuff is very general. All right, you do what you like. Depends what you like to do. Then you do what you want because those are the things you like to do. You're repeating yourself.
I know. That's because
Yes.
I have a lack of vocabulary, you know.
Well, here's the cure. All right, you cannot. It's impossible to speak with too much detail in an IELTS test. It's impossible. They will ask you general questions, but they do not want general answers. They want you to use specific examples, detailed information. The easiest thing to do is describe, for example, give some examples. For example, some people like to play billiards and they consume a lot of alcohol and they bet each other money. As a matter of fact, I lost 300 rubles the last birthday party I attended. That's detail. That's a good score. All right. Even if you're making it up, I didn't really do that. As I said to Ismail, you can make stuff up, but really, really detailed. And this prevents you from repeating things because you're trying to speak too generally.
Thank you for the tip.
Sure. And actually, it's effective in real, just conversational English. Actually, it's really the same idea. Real English speakers, when we're trying to explain something, we use, simile and metaphor, and we compare. We use comparative language, and we speak quite specifically. English is not that. It's not very economical. It's not economical at all compared to like Chinese, which you just say 3 words and you say the same thing that in English takes you 3 sentences. Very wasteful language.
For
really.
example, if you translate one-page text in English into Russian, it's gonna be 1.5 page in Russian.
Really?
Yes.
It's interesting. Okay, I did not know that. That's very interesting.
It's always like that. Russian text is always about half again bigger than an English text.
It's because your letters are bigger.
No.
Joke.
Because we tend to use more detailed words. We tend to,
I see.
like you said, similes, metaphors, and our language is much more grammatical than English.
Right, yes, this I do know.
And
okay,
we just need to connect things together grammatically correct like that. Okay.
Right. Okay, right. And the last thing I have to give you feedback for, I think you said, again, maybe I misheard you. Thought you said you blow off some cake. Which you don't really think
No, I
that's what
didn't
you
say
do.
that.
I don't think so. You blow out the candles on a cake.
I just said blow up a cake.
Blow up a cake.
Don't blow off,
Traditionally,
blow up.
traditionally, you put a bomb in a cake, and yeah, right. Okay. Uh, all right, Ismail, back to you. One more birthday question. What birthdays are very special in your culture?
The birthdays of children are special in my culture, especially. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a son, for example, we always celebrate his birthday with a great effort.
Cool. All
We
right.
buy many stuff to make a party atmosphere at home. We called our neighbor, our relatives, and our coworkers. They are coming and they are bringing some gifts for our son. Celebrate all together the birthday at home. My wife prepare many drinks and cakes and some stuff for
All right.
eating.
Okay. Okay. All right. When you started, you said, okay, birthdays for children are very special in my culture. Okay, the question was, what birthdays are very special in your culture? You you paraphrased the question. Very good. This is not only a good idea for IELTS, it's actually absolutely necessary. If you cannot paraphrase at all, you will not get above a score of 5, regardless of what else you do perfectly. There are certain sort of gateposts in IELTS that you have to do in order to get above a certain level. All right, and that's a class for another day. That would take an entire class just to explain all those. But that's one of them. So you started out very well. Thought you were finished for a second. A little bit of a long pause, which is not good in IELTS. But then you gave me details about your own personal experience, talking about your son's birthday. Great. That's exactly what you need to do. Terrific. As a matter of fact, Ismail, my 3-year-old daughter had a birthday party 2 days ago on Sunday. We had a little party, a little get-together. We blew up a cake. Had some food. I made a lot of food. I made the food. That's right. You heard it. I was kind of in charge of the party. I was really impressed with myself. I did a great job. So, yeah. Anyway, overall, by adding extra detail, keep going. Great. It ended up being a good answer. A little bit long on the pauses. And also the verb tense. Got to be careful. People are bringing, whatever you said, bringing gifts. People bring gifts. Yeah, it's better to use simple present than present continuous. Because they're not doing it right now. You're talking about a regular event. Okay. All right. Good job. Let's continue. Igor, like to change the topic slightly. Tell me a little bit about your city.
Okay. My city is a relatively large city. Its population is about 1.7 million people. It's situated in the south part of Siberia. The city is growing and it is developing. The city authorities really take a close look at how their city is developing, and they want to bring change here. Mm, for example, the city was just about 1 million people population 5 years ago, and right now it's, as I said, 1.7 million population, and it's only official count, because there are a lot of people who are not registered here, but some kind of not immigrants, but some people that want to be here, or people who work here for a short time. Also, this city has a lot of great sightings, great scenes. There is some prospect, some street. This street is called, in my language, Lubinsky Street. The street is of the Renaissance era, 18th century. The street looks really, really good, spectacular. The shapes of the buildings are a little bit curved and a little bit bumped.
Okay. Enough. By the way, if the interviewer stops you, as you mentioned before, when I bore the interviewer, don't worry, because he will stop you. Some interviewers tend to let you speak longer. Others tend to, I've heard some cases where they let you speak about 3 sentences and then stop you every time. Depends on the style of the interviewer, and they do have different styles of administering the test. If the interviewer stops you, this is not a bad thing unless you're just repeating yourself over and over, and then they're trying to stop you from burying yourself. What it means is the interviewer has heard the verb tense or the whatever construction he's listening for, and he just wants to move on to a different type of material. That's all it means. It means that you've accomplished the mission and he's checked his box, and
I see.
it's actually a good thing. Okay, some very nice language here. Relatively large. Excellent collocation, adverb, and adjective. Perfect. Great. I love the connective, like, for example, okay, you had a pause there, but it's a natural pause. And it may seem weird that you said, like, for example, you used two different transitions to introduce an example. Wow, does that seem wrong? Well, you know what? It's very natural. So even things that may be, grammatically speaking, that's wrong. Okay? However, in the real world of real native speakers, saying for example, that's very, very natural. It's a very natural way to express, to introduce an example. So actually, that would definitely gain you points. It's a weird thing about IELTS, that in fact, in that top tier 8 or 9 band score, a lot of the things that you're doing are mistakes, but you know when to make a mistake. You know when to pause for dramatic effect. You know when to use incorrect grammar. You know when to use reduced pronunciation, drop syllables, maybe even drop entire words like a subject noun. You know when to do things incorrectly, but actually the way that native speakers really talk. It's interesting. It's a little strange, but in fact, all of those things are kind of the difference between an 8 and a 9 in this test, interestingly. Okay. That was a very good job. One other note, people that come to your city and Work for a little while, work for 3 months or 6 months, and then leave. They're not really residents. These people, we have a word for that. They're called transients. They're
I
in
didn't know that.
transit.
I will try to remember that.
Hmm.
Transients.
Yep. Okay. What is the name of your city? Is it Novo? I can never.
No, it's actually close to Novosibirsk. I believe you wanted to say Novosibirsk. It's
That
Omsk.
is what I was trying to say.
Novosibirsk is bigger than my city. It's about
Okay.
2.5 million people, I think.
Really? I didn't know it was that big. Wow. Okay. All right. One more city question. Ismail, what are the main landmarks of your city?
Okay, what is a landmark? I couldn't understand actually.
I thought you might ask me that. Okay. This word does come up in the IELTS test, so it's a good word to know if you're going to take the IELTS exam. Landmarks are, what are landmarks? How do I explain? Buildings, sometimes they're natural phenomenon, but things that you basically, if you're giving directions, you would use these structures, buildings, or even natural kind of things to give someone directions. Often buildings. Okay, museums would be landmarks. Historical buildings, famous buildings, churches, mosques. These would definitely be landmarks. They can be like natural things too. A famous hill, Nob Hill in San Francisco is as a landmark for sure. A famous pier. Malibu, in Malibu, California, there's a famous pier there. That's a landmark. Could be anything. But, okay, what are the famous landmarks in your city?
Actually, there is no special landmark in my city.
Really?
Well, we have a skyscraper named Atakule. People go there and watch from the skyscraper the city from high point. You can see all over the city with bird eye view.
With a what view? Bird's eye. Oh, I got
bird's
it.
eye view.
Yeah, bird's eye view. Oh, nice. Okay, see, there you go. That's very much topic related. Co-location. That's great. Okay. The whole idea of views, natural areas, this comes up a lot in IELTS. Be careful, not that you said this, but it just reminds me, IELTS, a very common mistake when second language speakers talk about nature. Many times they don't understand how we use the word nature. We don't say I like to go to nature and go hiking. We don't say that in English. We say I like to go to parks. I like to go to natural areas. Right? We would use the adjective form. Okay, so talking about natural areas, talking about beautiful views, bird's eye view, panoramic view. That's panoramic when you can see in all directions.
Yes.
Right. Okay, these are, for some reason, these concepts come up a lot in IELTS? Oh, there's a beautiful view. I like to look at the scenery. Another good word to know how to. And I'm not sure why, but very common to talk about in IELTS. Because you talk about buildings is a topic. You talk about vacations is another topic. Tourism is another topic. Natural areas is another topic. Parks is another topic. So there's at least 5 topics where talking about a beautiful view would be very appropriate. So, and this happens a lot when we're talking about IELTS topics. You can use the same story for 3, 4, 5 totally different topics. It actually still makes sense. Hello, Nader. How are you?
Hi, how are you?
I'm good.
How is your test?
How's my test? I don't know. I'm not sure. We're looking at the IELTS test, a particular IELTS test that was given recently in India. Question 2. All right, you may get short description questions in part 1 of the exam. For sure, you will. The part 2 question is the long-term question. You need to speak for 2 minutes. Well, they say 1 to 2 minutes, but they really mean you better speak for 2 minutes or you're going to lose points. An example is in the Verbling chat box now. This is a difficult one. Describe an interesting conversation that you had with someone you didn't know. Here's one you may have to make up stuff. Please say, who is that person? When and where did you meet him or her? What did you talk about? And why was it interesting for you? Wow. Tough one. Igor, you want to try this? Oh, Nader's back. Igor, are you there? Are you gone?
Hello? I'm here.
Hello? There you are.
I forgot to unmute myself. So this one is going to need a lot of making up to do.
I don't know. Maybe maybe not. Maybe you talked to someone you don't know yesterday.
Well, I don't really talk to someone I don't know. To anyone I don't know.
Right? Who does? It's kind of a weird question, right?
Okay, let me think of something then. Okay. Some time ago, I can't say exactly how, when I met this interesting person. He was trying to sell people stickers, and I just went up to him and I just came up to him and asked him, what the hell are you doing here? He said that he was robbed and had no money at all, and the only thing he could do to remedy the situation to sell these stickers to people. And I asked him, what a strange idea! You could sell some stuff from your apartment. This was going to be a lot more money to make. But he said, I don't have any stuff in my apartment. All this stuff was robbed. After that, I was really blown off. I couldn't wrap my head around this guy, so I just gave him a little bit of money and said, just not going to make a lot of money with stickers, just take this money from me and go buy some food for yourself. And of course you need to go and to police and tell them about what happened to you. Maybe they could help you. And
right.
This conversation was interesting to me because I've never met such a prick, I think. Such a weird man. And this is why this conversation has left a mark in my brain.
Okay. Left a mark in my... Usually we say left a mark in my, well, left a mark in my brain is okay, but usually we say left a mark in my mind. Okay, speaking of that, some great vocabulary and entire phrases here, which is, again, really going to be strong in IELTS. I can't say how long ago it was. Great. IELTS would love this. Remedy the situation. Super. Great. Now, here's the thing. Okay, then you said it really blew me off. Which, okay, you're trying to use a collocation. But the real expression is blew me away.
I see.
I was blown away. All right, it really blew me away. All right, and then you said I couldn't wrap my head around the idea. Now that was great. Another terrific idiomatic phrase. Long idiomatic phrase. See, that's great. Here's the thing. The other interesting thing about IELTS is, unlike TOEFL or TOEIC or really any of these other kinds of tests, in IELTS they reward you for trying to do things. What I mean by that is you could speak very simple sentences, never say any idioms, really use simple subject, verb, object sentences only. Maybe you're speaking perfect English. You use simple language, simple words, and you don't make a single mistake. Guess what you're going to get for a score? You're going to get a band 4. You're really going to stink it up. You cannot do well by trying to keep it simple and direct, unlike TOEFL, which practically demands that you simplify the material in order to stay within the time period, and you have to remain very, very direct in your response and keep it very basic and straightforward. Quite the opposite in IELTS. The more complicated you make it, the better. Okay, here's the thing. Interestingly, earlier we talked about paraphrasing. If you do not paraphrase at all, you're band 4. If you only paraphrase once or twice and you fail, that's a band 5. If you try to paraphrase a number of times, you can get a band 6, even though maybe most of the time you fail. Big difference between not trying at all and trying and failing constantly.
So did I paraphrase?
I don't remember. Actually, I don't think so. No, you can't really paraphrase question 2. Not for this one. No, and anyway, it's written, so it's not natural to paraphrase question 2. It's a written question. In any case, if you paraphrase and you get it right half the time, level 7. If you paraphrase and almost always successful, level 8. You see the difference. They reward you for trying. So that includes they reward you even if you fail. They reward you for trying idiomatic language. They reward you for paraphrasing. They reward you for trying to use transitions. They reward you for trying to use compound complex sentences even though you fail. If you speak simple sentences only, level 4. If you try to speak compound and complex sentences and you never get it right, level 5. You go up an entire band score. They reward you for trying, and that's no joke.
May I ask, what about my grammar? Did it sound right to you for the whole conversation?
Yeah, I got no problems. The only will blow off instead of blow away. That was a vocabulary phrasal verb mistake, but that's it. That answer was very, very good.
So it's really getting better.
Like 8.5 or something.
Better for me.
Sorry?
So it's really getting better for me.
That's good.
Like some time ago, when I was trying to speak English, I was thinking too much about how to say things correctly. Right now, I just speak, and I don't I don't think about grammar at all. I just speak. Just what goes
Right.
into my mind.
Right. And frankly, when you're taking the IELTS test, you can't be thinking about grammar. That would be way too distracting. Absolutely. Okay, well, thank you for that very good example of question 2. Question 3. Now, we're talking about talking to people, discussing things with people. Question 3 is an opinion question, which is going to follow the same topic, or generally at least the topic in part 2. Nader, got to give you a chance to answer one question. Nader, what's the difference between chatting and gossiping?
I guess gossiping has negative effects and is negative in general, because gossiping means that you are talking about other people, mm, usually in a bad way, or you are talking about their secrets or something. But chatting may be around any topic. You can chat about the weather, the politics, whatever you like. But gossiping is something else. It's totally different from me. When I hear they were gossiping, it means they were talking about other people. They were not discussing the news or something. So
Okay.
I guess chatting is usually a neutral thing, but gossiping is a negative thing.
Oh, and a conclusion even. All right. It is not always necessary to give a conclusion, but in particular, in part 3, it is a good idea to organize your opinion basically the same way you organize a paragraph in writing. All right. I think there are a couple differences between chatting and gossiping. All right. I paraphrase myself, a nice, tidy little topic sentence. Great. You gave the contrast. You organized your speech very well, talking about gossiping, talking about chatting, bringing it back together to compare them directly to each other, and giving a concluding sentence. Terrific. I heard a couple of transition words, and but. I heard but. Chatting is different. Okay. Great. That was actually also a very good answer.
Thank you.
Thank you. And although I'd like to stay and play, I really can't. I've got to be on my way because I've got a private lesson I've got to go deal with. So thank you very much. You guys take care, and I'll see you again here on Burbling. Bye-bye.